Hi, I'm Matt, also known as Spades if you know me from TutorialVid or tutorialvid.com or Moo Techcow from YouTube. I'm going to teach you how to create a bouncing ball effect, and along the way I'm going to show you the proper way to make a Flash tutorial. And first we're going to create a new ball, make it any size you want, and fill it. You could use the fill tool to adjust where the center of the fill is. And now we want to convert it to a symbol so we can apply some actions to it. So we're going to make it a new movie clip. We'll just call it ball. And we want the registration to be in the middle, because when I apply actions that checks when it's going to be to the ground, we want to make sure the registration point is at the beginning to make sure the radius value is correct. So now we're inside our movie clip. Make sure you select it. Open up our actions panel with F9 or by clicking it. And now when you create a Flash tutorial, you want to remember that you don't want your user to have to check your tutorial every time they want to create something like this. You want them to become self-sufficient. You want to make them smarter after watching your tutorial. So you can't just say _root dot actions, because then they're going to be kept in the dark. They're not going to understand why you put all these actions. They're going to get confused. You're not going to help them. So on clip event, so when the event in the parentheses happens, which is when the movie clip loads, everything inside these curly brackets happens in here. So we want to initialize our variables. Ground, which is going to be where the ball is going to bounce when it hits. Right now it's going to be 400 because that's the height. Make sure we're back in our movie clip. Y velocity, which is going to be how fast, kind of like the speed of the Y position of the ball. Gravity is going to affect how fast the velocity increases, so it falls down faster as it goes. Radius, which is going to help determine when the ball hits the ground. I'll explain that in a second. Height divided by 2, because we have the height of the ball, which is from here to here, and the radius is from the very center to the outside. So we want the very height divided by 2. That gives us the middle to the outside. And bounce is going to affect how the ball bounces. If it is going to keep going down, which would kind of be stupid because we want it to actually bounce up. So we want a negative integer, so it reverses how it's incrementing its Y position, or decrementing, depending on whether it's falling down or bouncing back up. On clip event, another clip event handler, enter frame. And every time this movie clip enters a frame, the actions in here are going to happen. Right now, it's going to happen. These actions are going to happen 12 times a second. We want it to look a little smooth, a little less choppy. We're going to make it 20 frames per second. Feel free to play around with whatever works for you. So now we have our movie clip. Go in our actions. Y velocity plus equals gravity. Well, grav variable. And this is going to increment Y velocity by gravity, which is by 1. So it'll fall faster as it falls down, like in real life. And now the Y position of the ball is going to be added because Flash, its Y position increases as it goes down. Don't ask me why, I don't know. That's just how the creators of Flash made it. And Now we have our if statement. It's going to check whether the ball is touching the ground or not, and if it is, what is the ball going to do about it? So, right now, this checks if the ball is touching the ground, because if the y position plus the radius is greater than the ground, you know that the ball is pretty much at its lowest point, which is at the ground. So, new curly brackets, make sure we have them for both enter frame and if statements. And now, if it's touching the ground, y velocity times the bounce. And since it's a negative decimal, the bounce is going to be less and less. It's going to bounce a little less higher every time it bounces, like in real life. The floor is going to absorb some of the impact. And negative, because we don't want the ball to keep going down and down and down. We want it to bounce and go back up. And now, this dot underscore y equals, so the y position equals the ground minus the radius. So pretty much the very bottom of the ball right here, that's where the y position of the ball is going to be. Because since the registry is in the middle, we don't want the circle to the ball to be below the ground. So check for syntax errors. We have no errors. Format and Control Enter. Test our movie, and we see the ball bounces. And we can see it a little bit better if we just place the ball a little bit higher up on the stage, and we see it's a pretty realistic looking effect. And when you get better with ActionScript, you could add more stuff. You could add friction. You could throw it around with X and Y values. And yeah, I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial, and keep watching.